Hey guys, and welcome to The Biz. My name is Bizzy and I'm going to be your movie critic. In this show, we're basically going to be going over all the movies, what to see and what to skip. So in this episode, we're going to go ahead and backtrack to 2013 and I'm going to mention the ones that I liked the most out of last year. So let's get right into it. First movie that I can think of right now is The Way, Way Back. That movie was so good. The best thing about it was definitely Steve Carell. We're so used to seeing Mr. Funnyman on The Office and doing all his little stupid humor that we love so much, and this was the movie where he actually played the villain, and it was perfect. It had, of course, freaking Sam Rockwell. Oh my gosh, I love him so much. Definitely a good movie. It may have been slow at some parts, but the story is so good that it keeps you invested from beginning to end. So that's definitely something you should see. It's out on DVD, so definitely rent it or even buy it. The next movie I'm going to get into is Warm Bodies, the Valentine's movie of last year. That movie was awesome. I think why I loved it so much is because I went in thinking it wasn't going to be that cool. But it was amazing. It blew me away, really. It was such an original and smart story. I mean, it was pretty cool. The downfall of the movie was definitely how they promoted it. I probably would not have promoted it like Twilight, because that movie is so much better than Twilight in so many ways. I think the best thing about that movie was definitely Nicholas freaking Hoult. Dude, where have you been all my life? He seriously made me fall in love with a zombie. That's kind of messed up, I know, but he was perfect. The next movie I'm going to jump into is Prisoners. That movie was awesome. I mean, it was so intense and dramatic, and it was just perfect from beginning to end. Yes, to end. I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, what? The ending? It sucked. No, it definitely didn't. With how the style of the movie was, the ending was perfect. It was that artistic way to end a movie, and it's amazing. I don't want to spoil anything, but let me tell you, I was definitely a fan of the ending. The best thing about that movie was definitely Hugh freaking Jackman. My man. Dude, I love him so much in that movie. He really, I can't even describe it. He did so amazing. That one's also out on DVD, so you should definitely get that one. Redbox it too. It's also on there. Next movie I'm going to jump into is Ender's Game. The shirt I'm wearing represents that movie. I went in just to see it with my dad. I don't know anything about the book. I don't really know much about the story, but I went and saw it with my dad, and it was probably one of the best written movies of last year. I know, it's kind of a surprise, but the movie was just done so perfectly. I mean, everything about it was just like, it was entertaining, the story was just perfect, the acting was great, and it was just a really well done film. That one's not out on DVD yet. It's going to be out on February 10th, and you should definitely rent it because I'm telling you right now, it's definitely worth the watch. The next movie I'm going to mention is The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug. That movie was awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've always been a fan of The Lord of the Rings. Probably not as much as, let's say, Harry Potter or something, but I've always been a fan of the movies. One of the things I loved most about it was they had Martin freaking Freeman. I love him so much in this movie. He was perfect. Like, he was honestly more likable than Frodo. He's just so much more entertaining, and the story is honestly a little bit better than Lord of the Rings. Please don't hate me and give me really mean messages right now. I do love Lord of the Rings, don't get me wrong, but The Hobbit is just more entertaining. And this one was much better than the first one, I want to say. It was just a lot of cool stuff. It was awesome to see Orlando Bloom again as Legolas. I love him so much. The best thing about it was definitely all the visuals. Like, it was just such a perfect visual movie. Like, the dragon looked awesome. Smaug, definitely voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch. I can never pronounce his name right, but I think I got that one down. I love him too. And the scene between him and Bilbo was perfect. It was like so intense, and it was funny, and it was just a lot of fun. And how the movie ended, oh my gosh, cliffhanger of all cliffhangers. Gosh, absolutely adore that movie. You should definitely see it. It's still out in theaters, so definitely go and see it. One of my next favorite movies of last year was Pacific Rim. That movie surprised the heck out of me. I did not expect it to be that good, especially coming from Guillermo del Toro. He does all these really creepy movies most of the time, but this one was a good action flick, and I'm gonna say it, please don't hate me on this, but it was much better than Transformers. The story was better, it was more entertaining. Charlie Hunnam was so awesome, and Shia LaBeouf isn't that amazing right now, so that was nice seeing somebody who's actually likable. Definitely a very entertaining movie. Cooler robots, cooler story. It was just altogether a better film than Transformers. Next movie we're gonna get into is Saving Mr. Banks. Saving Mr. Banks made me cry so freaking much. I mean, from beginning to end, I was crying. I think I even scared my family because I was crying so much. That movie was beautiful. I will say, Tom Hanks, love the guy so much. You Got Mail, Big, Forrest Gump, amazing guy. Trust me, I love him. But as Walt Disney, he didn't do him justice. Sorry, Tom. I love you. I'm still gonna see your movies, but I think Walt Disney could have been represented better. But the movie was still really good. It actually made me appreciate Mary Poppins even more. It was really awesome seeing them make the movie while we're looking back onto her life, seeing what it was like and how different it was. But it made you really appreciate the movie. So definitely go out and see it. It's still out in theaters. It's not on DVD just yet. Next movie we're gonna get into is Frozen. That's a good one. It's Disney, so obviously I'm gonna love it. I am a little bit Disney obsessed. So Frozen was amazing, especially when you kind of compare it to Tangled. I mean, Tangled was another one of those most recent movies that was awesome, and Frozen just made me think of it just because they reminded me of her. It was just an amazing movie, and it wasn't just because it was entertaining like Disney always is, and it wasn't just because the music was awesome, because it really was. I mean, Idina Menzel was as the voice of the sister Elsa, it was just perfect. But the story was just so heartfelt. Like, it wasn't like the usual Disney movies where it's like prince finds princess, they fall in love and live happily ever after. It didn't really revolve around boy and girl. It was about the sisters, and it was about family and how important they were for each other, and it was a really awesome movie, and I definitely recommend you should see it. It's out in theaters still. See it with your kids, see it with your sister, see it with your boyfriend, see it with your whatever. It's a good movie. Definitely go and see it. Next movie that I'm going to mention is The Great Gatsby. 2 words, Baz Luhrmann. I love him. All his movies are amazing. Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge, my favorite movie of all time. Australia, one of the best love stories I've ever seen. I mean, he just does amazing with all his movies. He's so visual. It's so easy to get lost in his movies. And The Great Gatsby is one of my favorite stories. I grew up reading the book. I had to read it for school, and I loved the movie with Robert Redford. It was perfect. But this movie was even better. And I will say I'm a little biased because, I mean, it had freaking Leo DiCaprio, and I am really obsessed with him. I've loved him since I was 13, so I have a little bit of a tad obsession over that. So he was a big reason why I loved the movie. But the movie was still awesome. The one thing that I think some people might not like is the music. Baz Luhrmann decided to go with Jay-Z in helping make the music for the movie, and it just wasn't. It was hard to really get involved when the music was playing because of the style they chose. It was more like modern, but still with the old style from the movie. So it was kind of hard to follow every so often, but the movie altogether as a whole was perfect. I mean, it really was, like I said, a visual movie. Like, you could really get lost in it. Leo did amazing, as always. I mean, he never does wrong. Everyone else in the movie was awesome too, and that's definitely something you should see. It's out on DVD, so definitely red box it. It's good. The next movie that I'm going to mention is Fast and Furious 6. I've always been a huge fan of the Fast and Furious movies. And it's not just about the acting, it's not just about how entertaining it is. It's really about the family of the whole movie. Like, it's just a dynamic of having everyone in the movie together in every single movie. And this one was just a perfect one because the whole gang was back together yet again, and it was just done awesome because, especially how it ended actually, because it ends with basically tying in to 2 and 3, the ones that most fans of Fast and Furious kind of leave out because it doesn't have the entire family. So having the number 6 tie in with those 2, it made you appreciate those 2 even more. It was just done perfectly well. I mean, everyone was amazing in it. It was so much fun. And of course, it's just Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are just amazing together. And that brings me to Paul Walker not being here anymore. It kind of sucks because he is, like I said, part of the family. So it's going to be hard to continue watching him without him. maybe they'll stop because of that whole idea of it. But definitely recommend this one. You should definitely go out and buy it, not just rent it. You should go and buy it, because if you buy it, it's going to help with Paul Walker's foundation of the organization of Reach Out Worldwide. Definitely go and help that out. I bought myself a few DVDs to help out with it. So I definitely recommend that you see it and buy it so you can help out. Have it be your good deed of the day. Next movie is going to be the last one I'm going to mention in this episode. And this one I might get a lot of hate from my family. So sorry in advance, family. The last mentionable I'm going to say is The Wolf of Wall Street. I can hear them like screaming at me right now. The movie was a really good story. I mean, I will say that as a whole, it kind of surprised me with how gross it was. There was a lot of like nudity and drugs and stuff that I didn't really expect, but it was actually a well-written movie. The story is such a really interesting story, and whether or not you like the ending or whether or not you like the movie, you still have to appreciate it, and you should at least go and see it. It is nominated for an Oscar, so you should see it. I mean, I've seen it, and I did enjoy it. And again, I am a little bit biased because it had Leo freaking DiCaprio in it. I just love him so much, and he was perfect in it, and he definitely deserved that Golden Globe, and fingers crossed for the Oscar. But definitely go and see that movie. It was well acted. Jonah Hill did amazing. Leo did perfect, as always. The directing was great. The writing was great. The story just in general was a really good story. So definitely go out and see that one, okay? So those are my mentionables from 2013. If you haven't seen them yet, definitely go and watch them. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you continue watching my future episodes. You have a good night. Now go watch a movie.